Hi, fourth grade. We're talking about real news versus fake news today. Um, what you really want to think about in today's world, especially with how easy it is to use technology to post information, is that there's also good information and true information, and there's also false or fake news that can be shared and believed by the readers if you don't know differently. So, that is something you really want to keep in mind as you go through your years with schooling is really making sure you're a good judge of real news versus fake news as you are reading. When you're reading for enjoyment, it really doesn't matter. When you are reading for an informational purpose and research, that is where it's going to matter whether it is real news or fake news. And speaking of that, what is news? News is usually information that is shared with a large amount of people. And what do they pick to call news? Um, it usually has to do with something timeliness, so like something that's happening right now. People wouldn't share news on something that happened 5 years ago. It usually has to do with the oddity or unusualness of of what it is, because the more unique something is, the more people want to hear about it. News is usually something that's impactful, so it makes a difference whether you hear it or not. And impactful also being like it's affecting a lot of people. And then also, when you hear news, it's usually about the proximity it is to yourself, like locally or culturally, that it um, relates to a close proximity of people, usually. Um, and then the other thing I want you to think about is actually how to decipher between real and fake news. So, one of the things you want to think about is facts and opinions. Um, so, is what you are reading fact based? Is it facts that you are reading and that the author has shared with you? Or are you finding that the information that you're reading is more sounding like an opinion? So that's someone's belief or feelings on the information or the topic. So you really wanted to say for that, because true good sources of information, real news, is going to be fact based, not opinion based. And that brings me to the 5 C's when we think about real news versus fake news. So you want to think about the context. When and where did the information come from? So you want to look at that, figure out what you're reading and when was it written and where, like who wrote it, where did they come from? The credibility. So what are the sources that they're getting the information from? Are they letting you know what sources that it's coming from? Are those sources known to be credible? Okay. And then you want to analyze the construction. So, analyze the language they're using. Is it figurative language? Is it fact? Is it opinion? All of those things. And then think about the corroboration of what you're reading. So, are there other people that share the same view as this author's view? Can you find other sources that have that same information shared, that same type of news? Okay, so that's going to make it a stronger push to be a real news if you can find more people corroborating about it. And then the last C would be comparison. So you should try to find other people's perspectives that would have the opposite viewpoint and perspective. You should be able to find a comparison to look at to see that there is two sides to that information. So those are the 5 C's. And again, really you want to focus on, when you're thinking about real news versus fake news, you want to think about fact versus opinion. That's going to be your biggest clue. Is the information that you're reading about, is it something that can be proven, which would be factual and real news, or is it something based upon a person's belief or feelings about a topic, which is going to make it more of a fake news?